Well, hi guys. Good to be with you today, and as usual, let me have a few folks come on and say hi, making sure you can see us and hear us. Who wants to be number one on the roll call? Excuse me, this morning. Andrea, Niagara Falls. Francis Marie. Jen, Cape Breton. And Brahim, Portland, Oregon. One end of the continent to the other. Rosalinda, Niagara Falls. Carrie, Nebraska. Mary, good morning. Wendy, Marco. Nick, from Arsta. Chantal, Ottawa. Mike from Norland. Sandra from Morelia. Agnes, good morning. And Linda. Vanda, good morning. Deb, Timmons, Yolande, bonjour. Jocelyn from Baxter. John, Wyoming. Coffee time in Wyoming. Bright and early out there. Deanna, good morning. Terry, Victoria, Deb. I appreciate you guys getting up early. Gary, Bolton, Karen, good morning. And Hazel, St. John's, Newfoundland. Love you guys. Vera, Newfoundland. Helga, good morning. Francis from Vaughan. Frida, good morning. And Shirley, Newfoundland. Bruno, Quebec. Wendy, another Wendy, but from BC. Renee, good morning, from Sudbury. Micheline, good morning. Ziane and Jean, bonjour. And Brahim saying 84 in Portland, Oregon today. That's what they're saying. Sandy, Maral, Arlene, Bill, good morning. Few more. Luella, Tennessee, right? West Tennessee, am I right, Luella? Sharon, Wyoming, another from Wyoming. Brenda, Campbell River. Jordan, good morning. From Oklahoma, Sharon. Lakefield. Norma from Texas. Donna from Bell Valley, Ontario. Nova Scotia, Edith. You guys are great. Thanks for coming on. I got a couple of stories. I don't know if I'll get to two of them because you know me, I like to, things get flagged and then I can't get over it. Okay, now, 3 major stories on depression. 2 of them involve antidepressants. So these are very, very interesting. The one that caught my eye to start was a brand new study out of the British, at least published in the British Journal of Psychiatry, following 200,000 people. Here's their conclusions. Okay? Here's their conclusion. Long-term use of SSRIs, antidepressants, doubles your risk of heart disease. SSRIs over a long period. antidepressants? No. I'm not your physician. I'm giving you the research. Okay? I'm giving you the research, the long-term effects. Now, I've been around long enough. I've said this a multitude of times. SSRIs, when they came out, were short-term fixes. The medication at the time was said to be used no more than 6 months under any circumstance. Short-term use, even the makers of these SSRIs agreed with the FDA and Health Canada and whatever, short-term, not to be used long-term, and they actually had a warning out to the pharmacist. But you know what? All of that got poo-pooed. All of it got, well, you know what? Since, and I brought this to you, serotonin is the problem. And a lack of serotonin is a problem. So you had medication that would uptake your levels of serotonin. That's what SSRIs are. So in depression, when you have the wrong theory that it's serotonin, that's the egg. It ain't the chicken. It ain't the chicken. And now, good luck trying to change that mentality, because they've been saying it for so long. If you went door to door for anybody that would, oh yeah, it's a chemical. Why do people depressed? It's a chemical imbalance. No. That doesn't come first. That doesn't come first. And so when you're fixing or trying to fix serotonin, you're fixing the egg, not the chicken. You know what I mean by that? It's a Band-Aid. And now that it's been out for a long time, the side effects are unreal. It doubles your risk of a heart attack. It is common to completely make the users sexually dysfunctional. I didn't say that. These studies are saying it. Now, let me get to the root of the issue. The root of the issue. Because that's really important. Now, there are all sorts of ramifications, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But I just wanted to talk to you about the third study that came out. Now, this one wasn't on the use of antidepressants. This one was a study that came out of, hold on, let me just read where it comes out of. This was in, out of Hong Kong. Study, University of Hong Kong. Three major, here's what it says. Hopelessness, loneliness, and unhappiness. This is the headline of the study. Hopelessness, loneliness, unhappiness accelerates aging. Listen to this, guys. Listen to this. Accelerates aging inside the body faster than smoking. Loneliness. See, now we're getting at the issue. Hopelessness. Unhappiness. Now, if you're depressed, those things are all on steroids, if you know what I mean by that. But when a person they're not thinking right, or they're lonely, they're unhappy, they're stressed. I always talked about that because anxiety leads to depression. Depression doesn't come first. There's trauma, emotional trauma involved. And that, my friend, listen to what the study says, is worse than smoking as far as aging inside the body. That is incredible. And the fix, my friend, the fix is not antidepressant medication. It's not. Now, I realize that this is difficult sledding. I've told you in the past what I used to see in my office because I was a guy to look at biomarkers. I wanted to see biomarkers, whether you came in with whether depression was there or not. I saw thousands of clinically depressed people. But when I used to dig in their background, besides doing biomarkers, and we talked about it, you make more hormones, more neurotransmitters in your gut than you do in your brain. Cortisol is stress. Now, stress doesn't have to be on coming at you and scaring the living life out of you. It can be stressed in relationships, stress from the environment, stress from bad eating. There's a lot of things that stress the body and increase cortisol. But that's a key. That's a real key. And so I used to work when I tested the biomarkers, and cortisol was one of them. So we got to undo that and help you in that area. And I would do everything possible in a physical sense to fix those biomarkers. They were often low in B12. And your brain don't work properly without B12. It just doesn't. I can't think of anyone that I ever saw with depression that didn't have leaky gut. Now, you don't have to have digestive symptoms with leaky gut. Remember that, because people get, leaky gut means, well, I don't have any digestive symptoms. I'm not talking about digestive symptoms. You might have. But a lot of people, they didn't have digestive, but the gut-brain connection. The gut-brain connection. Stress affects the gut, and the gut affects stress. So all I'm saying is when I used to unpack a person that was depressed, I looked at it much more holistically. And I think, this is me, I think psychiatry, psychology would be far better served if they started teaching deficiencies and, they were showing that, I brought this to you, I can't remember exactly how long ago, but I talked about vitamin E. Exercise is one of the best antidepressants known to man. But who prescribes that? And then once a patient is into clinical depression, you can hardly get them out of bed. It's to head these things off at the pass. That's why it's so important to prevent these things, to be proactive, to eat good. Imagine, SSRIs, the truth is coming out about them. They were never meant to be long-term. They don't fix the problem. They don't. And now they find out, they're not good for you in the long term. They're just not. But like I said, I don't think there's going to be a paradigm shift anytime soon. I really don't. Because once you get that into, into people's thinking, doctors' thinking, I've been preaching about cholesterol for 40 years. And, I'm not saying there's more people that question it. That's what I want people to do. I want them to question. Why do you think I have Question and Answer Friday? I love questions. I mean it. You need to question. How are you going to get any answers if you don't question? Be inquisitive. And people ought to be able to defend their position. I can talk to my psychiatrist friends and say, well, how's that working for you? The SSRIs. How's that working for you? Oh, it hasn't been that successful. Well, why do you keep doing it? Why don't you look at plan B? Well, it's what we do. I remember talking to an oncologist, because I was asking, well, what's the survival rate with chemotherapy? It was for one of my patients. What's the survival rate if you do chemotherapy? Well, he said, he almost felt like telling me it's none of my business. But he admitted the truth, which was whether they did chemotherapy or whether they didn't, the survival rate was the same. I said, well, why do you do it? Specifically for this patient. And you know what he said? Quote, because that's what we do. I said, well, that's not good enough. You mean you can't be questioned? That's what we do. Psychiatrists, that's what we do. We put you on, and family doctors who put people on SSRIs, and, I guess you stay on them. I question that. And I want you guys to question it. Even if we can't change it. You know me, I'm not optimistic. I'm an optimistic person. I really am. But I know some things are ingrained in thinking, especially in medicine. My word, you can't get them off of it. You can't get them to change their thinking. Okay, but I'm going to question it. Now, no, but seriously, guys. Okay, here we're gonna change topics. Okay, that was topic number 1 this morning. Depression. Okay, you have any questions about depression or whatever? Again, I've gone through this many a time with you. I look at I'm very big holistically on the whole thing. Okay? Very big holistically. That was me. That's how I treated it. I would fix anything that I saw in a deficiency or in a problem like leaky gut or B12 or magnesium even, and low levels of magnesium, things like that. Okay, now, I want to talk about India for a minute. Okay, so we're changing. Something's happened since the 1990s in India. Now, I have a son-in-law who's East Indian. His parents were born in India. And Dr. Sam, my son-in-law, married to my daughter. And boy, they make beautiful children. They're gorgeous, okay? But I'm always interested in India because of that, okay? Now, this is something that's tripled. What do you think has tripled in India in the last, since the 1990s? Okay? Now, you don't have to answer it, but it's the same thing that happened with the use of antidepressants. Heart disease is up threefold in India. Threefold. Why is that? Why is that? And the only place, it's interesting, that hasn't happened, it's gone up a bit, is in the southern part of India. That's called Kerala. That's where Sam's parents were born, in the southern part of India, Kerala. You know what they consume in Kerala more than the rest of India? Meat. Meat. Meat consumption has gone down in India, and heart disease. Okay, let me read the headline. Okay, let me read the headline. India has the lowest per capita meat consumption of any country in the world. Yet heart disease are much higher than the global average. Meat consumption down, heart disease up in India. And the only place where that hasn't happened is in Kerala. Now, what's the problem? Now, a lot of India are vegetarians, religious-wise, okay? But even that's not the problem as much as what they eat. Because India started to eat like us in the 1990s. I don't care. It only takes a generation. When you start eating processed foods, fast foods, generally, you know what happens? Don't take long. Heart disease skyrockets. There's two whammos. Very destructive. Sugar consumption in India has gone way up. Way up. One. And two, when you change fat. What? When you change fat. When you go from butter or ghee or coconut oil, if you change fat and you go to these the gift from Canada. The gift. It's not such a good gift. Canada is a wonderful country. We all admit that, right? Except that we export canola oil. Canada oil. That's what it really is. That's why they call it can oil. Canola. Canadian oil. We export it. And we're making people sick. It's so high on omega-6. It's made for your car, not for you. You can run a jet plane. Oil. On canola oil. Grapeseed oil. Rapeseed oil. They're seed oils. Started with Procter and Gamble. When they hydrogenated it and they made Crisco. They got away from butter. They got away from lard. They got away from nature. And man thinks they're smart, but it's killing people, including people in India. Isn't that interesting? See, when I read something like that, I go, why? Well, sure. They don't eat enough meat. And they're consuming all these vegetable oils and sugar. What a double whammo. I've talked to you about the Inuit. Our northern people. I talked to you about Alaska. The Americans, northern people. Well, you introduce our way of eating to them, and guess what? They get sick as dogs. Kills their heart. Processed foods. Sugar. Yeah, that's what happens. That's what happens. Terrible stuff. Isn't that interesting in India? Their heart rates have doubled and tripled in some places since 1990. I mean, India is one of the oldest civilizations of mankind. And they got more diabetes over there than you can shake your stick at. And a diabetic got to get away from sugar and get away from all that processed foods. I'd like to introduce the reset in India. Probably good luck to that, right? Some interesting things, eh? Oh, my friend, don't get duped. Don't get duped. The number one food in the universe for all people is beef. It is. Fish too. Okay? But fish is number two, okay? Like, you know me. Liver, not your liver, but eating liver, is number one, but I can't give it number one. Why? Because I don't like it enough. And so I don't put it up as the king of the castle. Okay? It's not the king of the castle. Steak, beef, that's the king of the castle. Okay, you got that? Now, one thing fish doesn't have that you get in red meat is fish is good. I take fish every day. In a capsule. Fish is wonderful. It is. I wish I liked fish. I don't. I'm sorry. Okay? My wife said, you're a big baby. That's true. I'm spoiled. Okay? I admit it. But listen, Linda, steak needs to be reintroduced back into India. And North America. We got to get Bill Gates out of the world because he's influencing everybody on soy. Oh, you should see the new study on soy. May I bring that to you next week? It ain't good. Soy burgers. Ooh. Beef. What has it got that fish doesn't have? B12. Now, salmon has some B12 in it. Okay? But the rest of the fish, it doesn't, it's got just about everything, but doesn't have B12. And B12 is essential. We just talked about it in terms of depression. It's essential for the body. The best antidepressant is exercise and steak. That's a med. Wouldn't that be something if you walked out of a doctor's office with a prescription, he says, eat more steak. You don't even have to go to the pharmacist. You got to go to the butcher. Oh boy. Okay, guys. You know what tomorrow is? Question and Answer Friday. Where we answer questions. Don't be scared. Don't be shy. One thing we love about the private Facebook group is they're asking questions. I get it. I want that. We want that. I wanted my patients to question me. You got any questions? And I would listen. You got any questions? And now you're probably going to have some questions. Go home. I'm giving you a full report. It was all written out for them with explanations. But I said, you read all of this, read your results, read the recommendations, and if you have any questions, that's why I had such a good staff. Because they'd answer the questions, or they'd come to me and say, well, they're asking this. Well, here, and still today, we answer questions. You have every right. Boy, doctors have lost that art of medicine. There's science of medicine and the art of medicine. They've lost the art of it because they don't allow time for questions. When you get a doctor that's ready to sit with you and answer your questions, I used to tell my patients, when you're going to see your family doctor or whatever, or a specialist, bring a pen and a pad, a writing pad, and get your questions ahead of time and get them answered. Okay. Enough of my diatribe. Okay, guys. We love you. Have I told you that lately? We do. And we'll talk to you soon.